Hello and welcome to Everything Auburn, the podcast here at Auburn University. We get to speak to a new member of the Auburn family every single month, and I am so excited that you're here with us today. And joining me today is, am I correct? Is that Dalton Odom, a co-host here with me?
Wow. Hey, everybody.
You're back from special assignment.
I'm back. Thrilled to be back.
It's been a minute. Thank you for joining me again.
Thank you for having me. It's like a homecoming.
Honestly, I'm truly glad you're here for many reasons, but mostly pressure is off. I'm no longer a solo host right now.
Well, great to be back. For those of you who don't know, I work for the Alumni Association now, so I get to travel the country.
Yep.
Work with plenty of cool Auburn people, traveling to places like Dallas and Savannah and Memphis, and just making my rounds around the country.
Didn't want to have an office next to me.
Meeting Auburn people. Yeah, I no longer have an office next to Carter.
Yep, that's fine.
He cries every day. So y'all send one up for him.
Yep, that's all right.
But speaking of incredible Auburn alums, we have an incredible guest today. Today we have Mr. David Deep. David, how are you?
Doing great.
Good.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome to Everything Auburn. How you doing?
Appreciate it. Glad to be here.
Yeah. Well, we're glad you're here. This is such a great opportunity for us, and as well as, and we'll get into it, but what an awesome time to have you in November. We're here, focusing on Veterans Day and just really the whole month, obviously, but Veterans Day is coming up, and it's just really awesome to have you here and be able to shine a light on the work you do.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So we'll start out with just, some basic questions, something along the lines of like, just tell me your Auburn story.
Okay.
Which is really what this podcast is centered around, talking about Auburn. But tell us how you got to Auburn. What does Auburn mean to you today? What did it mean to you when you were a student? Just tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. Yeah, well, I grew up in Huntsville, and I was one of 7 kids. Apparently, I was the favorite. My mom told me so it's got to be true. And went to high school, graduated high school there, and I was interested in the Marine Corps and wanted to become an officer. And the ROTC program here had a great reputation at Auburn, so I applied for that. In between that, in the summer, right after graduation from high school, I went to Marine Corps boot camp as a reservist. So for those of you who don't know, there's active duty full-time, and then there's reserve, where you can basically do 1 week in a month, 2 weeks a year would be like the standard thing. So you're a part-time military person. So I did that while I was going to Auburn as well. And, the ROTC here became my fraternity. Great times, great people, learned a lot here at Auburn, and just had a great time, great experiences, learned everything. It was so fun. And then graduated with a degree in aviation management. The same day I got a commission as a second lieutenant in the Marine Corps.
Wow.
And became a helicopter pilot for the Marines. Flew CH-46s, which is a kind of a transport assault support helicopter. And did that for 10 years of active duty. And then I decided to pursue an airline career and left active duty for a while. And then I kind of missed it, the camaraderie of hanging out with fellow Marines and all that. And so I've joined a Marine Corps Reserve unit flying AH-1W Cobra helicopters. And so I was actually in that school, that training on 9/11. And I knew that, I was out in California, so a couple hours behind. Yeah. Buddy of mine calls me up, hey, turn on the TV. And I look, I'm like, oh, yeah, my world's about to turn upside down.
Right.
Yeah, don't know something's about to change. Yeah.
So a couple of years later, find myself in Afghanistan flying Cobra helicopters, taking care of the people on the ground.
Wow.
So, yeah. All told, I did about 28 years of active and reserve, and retired in 2016, and that's my kind of Auburn story.
Well, before we go anywhere really quick, I just want to say thank you for your service.
Appreciate it.
And thank you for everything that you've done for our country. Seriously,
you.
Really appreciate it.
It was an honor to do it. I had an amazing experience, met the greatest people you'd ever want to meet.
You've had a lot of really interesting time in the Marines. Having come out of the Marines, you started this really wonderful program. You're going on 13 years, if I'm not mistaken, the Wake for Warriors program.
Right.
Walk me through when you created that, what that program is, and what kind of the service that it provides for veterans that are kind of coming out of service.
Yeah. So Wake for Wars is a water sports therapy program for injured veterans, and it's basically a kind of a gateway, a way of doing something that's fun and easy, but you're also connecting veterans with each other. And our thing is we're kind of creating a family to where, if you had a family member that needed something, you would do whatever. They need, whether they need a job or they need help mentally or physically. We have those kind of resources. It didn't start that way. It started with me, I had this cool idea. Well, if we go all the way back, I was patient number one.
Let's go all the way back. Let's get into it. Yeah, let's do it.
So, if you have an experience like combat or some traumatic experience, it doesn't have to be combat. It could be, you had cancer or you got in a serious accident. Those traumatic experiences change the way you think about everything. Your priorities are totally different. Your life outlook is different. And so that was kind of the impetus of how Wake for Warriors got started. For me, getting on the water was my way of getting back into normal life. So I came back from Afghanistan. One of the first things I did was buy a boat because I had previous experience. Getting on the water was something that was very healing and therapeutic for me. And so it was natural to do that. And eventually I was like, man, I need to share this with people. And I was at a Marine Corps birthday celebration, and I met this Marine, double amputee. And I was like, hey, man, I got this idea. I want to teach people how to wakeboard. You want to come to my house? And, his story is like this random dude walks up to me. He's like, hey, do you want to come to my house? Which is, but to his credit, he's like, yeah, I'll do it.
That's a brave guy right there.
Brave guy.
Yeah.
So that was the first Wake for Warriors event. It was one guy, and neither one of us really knew what we were doing. I didn't know how to teach a guy with no legs how to wakeboard, and he didn't know how to wakeboard. But between the two of us, we figured it out. And the other part of that was, it wasn't about being on the water. It was about the relationship that we that we established with each other. And that was in 2012. And he is still on the board. He's still advising. He's still coaching. And he's a great wakeboarder now.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And he's, it hasn't slowed him down. And he's been a great resource for me to learn about all the challenges that you have when you have a setback like that.
So you've been doing this for about 13 years now, from just the random guy you ran into and coerced him into coming on the lake with you. To today, how has it kind of grown over those 13 years and some of those experiences that you've had? Yeah.
Well, first of all, it wasn't peer pressure.
No.
It was aggressive motivation.
There you go.
How very military of you.
But, it's changed a tremendous amount because, when I first started, it was me going on, Craigslist and buying boards and the boat that I could afford, which wasn't a lot. And, just me out there. But then since then, it's grown into a family of people that it's all volunteer. So people are doing it because they want to do it and they want to love on these people that are coming. And so that's the big change, is that it's way bigger than one person. It started with one person, but in the end, I can only do so much. And I rely on awesome people who volunteer their boats, their time. They open up their houses, provide food, they donate, all those things that I needed and couldn't provide for, myself. So it's become this big family. And we do events across the country. We have about 22 or 23 states that we do these events in. We spend a little over 100 days on the water each year.
Oh, man. That's incredible.
So it just started with one person. And actually the second event was his buddy next door, who was also a double amputee. Oh, wow. Yeah. It's a kind of a funny story because they are the only two people that live on, they both had houses provided by an organization. And they built these two houses right next to each other because they were good friends. And it's on the street where there's only two houses. There are two houses. And they petitioned the city to change the name of the street to No Leg Lane.
Right.
And the city's like, nah, I don't think so.
Yeah,
but
maybe
I
change
was like,
that.
I don't know if that quite, in my experience, local governments don't quite have the same sense of humor.
Yeah.
Right.
as that.
But I was like, what a great attitude that these guys have, though. They just kind of poke fun at themselves. And, it's not like, and that was the other part of my learning process is like, how do you handle all that, right? And so the first time I met Tony, was the first person that I taught, I was like, oh, how do I tiptoe around this? And what do I do? And it's like, no, I'm not looking at Tony, the amputee. It's just Tony, my buddy now.
Yeah.
And same with, 100 other guys that have had setbacks in their lives. But now I just look at him as, oh, that's my buddy. That's my buddy Tyler.
Tell us a little bit kind of about the events that y'all do and who can participate in these events. Do you have to be in the military or formerly did you not have to be?
That is a great question because it started as, combat only veterans that have been injured. But, as we've expanded and have opportunity to share this with others, we now do other events with first responders and just folks that have had setbacks in lives. So non-military, but we have the opportunity to share this fun sport, and we have the equipment, we have the talent and the gear and people that want to share this experience with others. So that it's kind of evolved into being more open. But your typical event starts on a Thursday. You come in Thursday evening, have dinner, get set up. The beautiful thing about many of our events is people on that lake open up their houses.
Oh, wow.
And stay here for free.
Very cool.
Yeah. It does one of many things, but one thing is you've already established a relationship and you're creating a vibe like, hey, come over to my lake house and hang out, right? Which is a great way to get started.
Yeah.
And the feedback that we've had is like immediately when I walked in, all these like cool people like surrounding me and they're welcoming me, and I feel like, this is super cool and relaxing. It's not like, oh, I'm trying to do whatever, right?
Right.
This isn't like an Olympic sport or, it's just like hanging out with your new family. So you get settled, have dinner, go over a little, what's going to happen for the next few days. And they head back. The next morning, there's breakfast. And this isn't like your normal, like, hey, here's a, jelly roll or whatever, or some donuts. This is like 80-year-old ladies bringing their custom grits, their special grits and biscuits that have been blessed.
Yes.
That kind of like that thing, and you're like
mostly butter.
Oh yeah, well that's the first ingredient and primary ingredient.
And the last.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, and so we have people come in from all over the country, right? These Californians are like, what are those things, right? Or somebody from the Midwest or North or whatever.
It's all this grease.
What are these? What are these?
The flavor.
Grits. Yeah. So they're fed, and then we get out, a little safety brief, and they ride in the morning till lunch, take a little break, and then go right back out and ride until dinner. And then after dinner, you're kind of hanging out. They're pretty much worn out. It's a lot of work, especially if you're out in the sun and you're learning for the first time. You're using muscles that you're not used to and all that. So you're wearing yourself out.
For sure. But
you're also ecstatic that you have done something new and you've met these people and you're hanging out. And so, but the night doesn't like go rage. There's no raging party. It's
sure.
It's like, oh, it's 8:30. Maybe we should head to bed. Right? So, but it's
already.
But it's great, because you have that. You're just hanging out, and that's when all the conversations start talking. You've had a great day. You're relaxed, and then maybe you're going to tell the story of how you got to where you were. And it's not in a big group. It's mostly like one-on-one or, a couple people hanging out, telling their story. And I encourage people to do that. One of the first things I do when I, welcome them and do a brief, I was like, look around. Yeah, there's a lot of ugly people here, but they have some incredible stories that you should get to know these people and tell your story. Don't be afraid to tell your story either. Mm-hmm. And because it might help somebody out. They may be behind you in their journey of healing, but you could share your story as an encouragement of, where you were to where you are now. Mm. So all those things, there's nothing that's programmed. It just magically happens. Mm-hmm. We're just creating an environment where you're feeling relaxed and you're loved and you're cared about and they know that, and we're doing something fun. But in the end, you're just putting people together to create to build this relationship and these families. And so that's day one.
Oh, yeah. This is awesome.
Then, you've kind of learned how to do this thing. You've learned to wakeboard or wake surf. And you don't want it to end. So there's a whole nother day.
Beautiful.
That you're out there. And you're challenging each other. Of course, it's not like, I try to tell people, like, you're not going to get to the Olympics on wakeboarding or wake surfing.
I'm sure they all believe you when they say that too, right? Yeah.
We do actually have competitions, adaptive competitions that we with our partners, we were able to get these guys and to challenge themselves and each other. But, of course, you're also dealing with people that have that type A, super intense mentality, right? And I have to tell them, hey, man, you got to kind of relax. This is surfing. This isn't like you're not kicking down doors. You're not jumping out of airplanes. Yeah. You're just
We'd love surfing. To not go to the hospital.
Yes. Yeah. So you got to dial it down. Yeah. And a lot of it is just part of the learning process of it is, hey, you just got to relax and listen. Don't try to do all your work yourself. Let the boat help you out. Listen to what we're telling you. I was like, hey man, your intensity level is like bank robbery, kind of like you're gonna go steal something.
Need you to breathe.
You need to like relax and dial it down to like at least stealing a candy bar or something like that.
Right. You're on a heist. I need petty theft.
Yes. Little smash and grab. Like, don't go crazy. Right. So learning, once they learn to relax, then things flow a lot easier. And so again, Thursday, ride all day Friday, all day Saturday, and Sunday, head out and go home. That's our typical outlay. Now it varies a little bit. And we do a few variances of that depending on where we are. We just wrapped up an event in Arizona this weekend. I wasn't there, but they're the way they do it is come in Thursday, ride all day Friday, and then half day Saturday. And then Saturday, all these people that have these Ford Raptors show up. And it's a family event. So families all hop in these vehicles and they whip out in the desert and go around and cruise around.
Yeah, brother.
Yeah. And they have a blast.
So fun.
Yeah.
Dude, do some desert surfing.
Yeah. So that's one of the things that kind of varies. And then we actually have some winter sports as well, kind of keep the thing going year round. Snowboarding. We partner with other organizations that know what they're doing. I could not teach one person how to snowboard or all that. We don't have the equipment that they do. So we basically provide them veterans that want to learn and be challenged in that on the wet snow.
Yeah. I think it's probably good that the Alabamian isn't teaching people
true statement.
Some snowboarding. Yeah. I'm sure you can be good, but
I know my limitations.
It's like trusting a fat chef.
Right.
I believe you. I'll take somebody from Colorado to teach me how to snowboard.
Yeah.
And there's another thing I wanted to make sure we got a chance to talk about. It's adjacent to Wake for Warriors, but I know you also have a passion for adaptive sports. Something that happens here at Auburn is, wheelchair basketball, for instance, is a great thing they do here. I wanted to get a chance to talk about some other things that you're really involved in and passionate about, kind of adjacent to your Wake for Warriors project here.
Well, yeah. I mean, again, it kind of comes back to like you had a setback in your life. Yeah. And how are you going to deal with it, right? Are you going to just like sit and feel sorry for yourself? Are you going to, like, well, this is my lot in life. This is how it's going to be. Or am I going to go out there and push myself and try to do, things, challenge myself? Don't be afraid of whatever pops up. So we had an opportunity. We met. We got connected with the Auburn wheelchair basketball team, and we had an event on Lake Harding, which is right down the road. And on that Sunday, the whole team shows up.
Dude.
And all I have is names and a list of their, what happened to them, or they have spina bifida or, amputee or whatever. So I'm trying to like figure out where am I going to put these people on the boats. We have like 5 boats. We're trying to plug them all in. We don't want them to like be delayed and be like long and boring and, you know, like people struggle. Well, they show up and they're athletes, you know?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
They most certainly are.
I totally underestimated them because they went out there and they crushed it. It was so fun to see. Well, one, their enthusiasm, and that team, they already had an amazing amount of camaraderie.
Oh, sure.
And just the banter that was going on, and aggressive motivation.
Right.
They were having a blast, and it was just so fun to be around them. They're young, they're energetic, and they're just out there. Well, also, they're used to being coached. So it's like, hey, man, just do this. Boom. And they're up and running, and they're having a blast. So we had a great day with them, and we look forward to doing it again with them. It's just not a one and done. We've kind of built a relationship with them now. In fact, they had a tournament here yesterday, or this past weekend, and a lot of the volunteers, we had 20 or 25 people from Lake Harding that was there on that Sunday when they came. Oh, yeah, we want to go watch the basketball game.
Oh, awesome.
And it was so fun to just like sit in the stands and watch those guys you taught how to surf or wakeboard out there. It blew me away, the athleticism of these guys. They are so good.
Yeah.
And we'll be back.
Yeah, highly recommend going to a game. If anybody
so
listening or watching has never been, they're so fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Truly impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Real athletes there.
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
Well, speaking about that Auburn tie, again, like I said earlier, obviously with this being the Everything Auburn podcast. Yeah, rock on, Carter.
Oh, I got to do that too.
If you're just listening, Carter just did a rock on hand sign.
Big into it.
And with you being an alum, I'm just curious, what to you, how does Wake for Warriors relate to the Auburn Creed in any way to you? You know, it's something that Carter and I talk about all the time, and Carter and I will get all gushy talking about the Creed. But so we'll leave it to you.
I don't need to cry today.
Well, the obvious one, there's talk about, supporting your country and, you love your country and all that. That would be too easy. I think the one that talks about being of sound mind and sound body and a spirit that is not afraid.
Yeah.
That, I think, embodies what we're trying to do. Again, you've had a setback in life, right? And you're going to be afraid to do things. I think everybody is, regardless of where you've been and all that. You're going to have things that you're going to be scared to do. Do it scared. Don't be afraid to challenge yourself. Sometimes I say, it's just us girls. You just, you're around family, right?
Yeah.
You're around family. And if you fail, we're going to be there. We're not going to oh, man, you suck. It's going to be like, hey, let's do it. Let's try it. Mm-hmm. You're probably not going to get up on the first try. That's fine. Let's just keep going. And we'll figure out a way to make it happen. So if you're scared, do it scared.
I love that.
That's truly incredible.
All right, so another thing that I definitely wanted to touch on, one thing that I think is really cool about this program is that it's free to participate. Mm-hmm. And so if you don't mind talking about that, talk about sponsorship a little bit also. Yeah,
we are very fortunate to have the best partnerships in the water sports industry. Nautique Boats is our primary partner. They provide not only a boat for us, but also a network of dealers across the country. So they've introduced us to people that own Nautiques, and in addition to the dealerships all over the country. So that is a great network to have. And, that we've had that partnership since 2017. And it's not just, it's just the boat company. No, those are people that are my family now. They're my friends. We've been to their weddings. We've, experienced like family type things. We hang out, together at these different events. So, and that's pretty much the way all of our partners are. It's not just, some corporate person like, we're going to write you a check or we're going to send you wakeboards. It's, I'm calling my friend. Hey, I broke a wakeboard. Can you help me out? Oh yeah, no problem. And they send it to you. So that's the kind of family and support that we have, and we couldn't do it without them. So the motor that's in these boats is a GM product. So GM Marine is another partner of ours, and They provide us with a really sweet truck to drag that boat around the country.
Nice.
And hyperlight wakeboards. Those are our big 3 folks. And the trailer, boatmate trailers. All these folks that, I don't want to sound like a NASCAR guy, but
Hey, hey, it's working.
Yeah.
but they don't get a lot of praise necessarily. They're doing it because they want to do it and they want to support us, and I'm super grateful for them because we could not do it without them. And so it's an awesome, group of folks that have surrounded us to make it happen, and we're super grateful for that.
Awesome. Well, as we kind of round out here, I wanted to make sure you got a chance to talk about who can participate. I think I know the answer to that one, but I just want to make sure we get that. And how to sign up, where to contact you. You guys across the whole country, you're traveling all over the place. What's the sign up process? How to get in touch with you to learn more? If there's somebody out there listening who is interested.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I want to say, if you're not a veteran, but a veteran that could maybe benefit from this, reach out to them. That's the best way you can help us, is getting the word out, because not everybody, obviously, a lot of people don't know about Wake for Warriors. Yeah, they'll see it on a truck, and I get asked 100 times a day, like, "Hey, what's that?" And I got to sit there and explain, which I'm happy to do, because we want to get that word out and let folks that can benefit from it to get out there and sign up. So, if you do know somebody that that can use it, please let them know.
Wonderful.
Otherwise, you can go on. We have social media, Wake for Warriors. We have wakeforwarriors.org, where there is a place where you can sign up if you want to. You don't have to be military. You just have to have a heart of giving, and you can sign up. It doesn't matter if you know how to drive a boat or coach or whatever. If you can make some really banging grits, maybe we can plug you in somewhere, right?
Perfect.
Wonderful.
So, yeah, and so there's ways of helping, and if you just it does cost money to do these things.
Sure.
And it is, like I said, it is all volunteer, but we do have to pay for things, boat gas and equipment. Our primary things are food, travel, lodging, and special equipment. And insurance, unfortunately, is very expensive and getting more expensive. So we have to cover ourselves with liability and all that. So all those things cost money, and that's where all the money goes to. So, yeah.
Cool.
Well, I want to say thank you for what you do and for all the service you provide and all the incredible memories and experiences you've given to all these people, and continue to do so. I'm proud that someone's doing that, and proud that it's an alum doing it even more.
Thank you.
And thank you very much. Thanks for spending some time with us. And I think that'll be it for today's episode. And thank you for listening. We're so glad that you were here, spend some time with us, getting to know another member of the Auburn family. We'll be back again next month with another special end of the year holiday festivity.
Shebang.
Yeah, a big holiday get together. But until then, we got 11 more episodes that we filmed, or 10 other episodes, not great at math, episodes we filmed the rest of the year as well. You can go back the year before and even back then to see some really incredible people we've been able to have some awesome conversations with.
Absolutely.
But until then, we'll see you next time in War Eagle.
War Eagle.
War Eagle.